Hey guys, did you know that I have a Patreon where you can support me and plus get awesome rewards? Or if you're thinking to yourself, but Julian, I want even more bang for my buck while still supporting you, you can pop over to my Redbubble and check out my awesome store with new designs appearing regularly. But for now, enjoy the video you're about to watch. Hey everyone, it's me, Julian Greystoke. So today we have a book review. So many book reviews. I'm filming a batch today, so let's just get right on it. Today we are talking about Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, which I read quite a while ago and I hope I remember enough of to give you a review. A lot has happened since I read this, but let's just give it a try, shall we? What is Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore about? It is about Mr. Penumbra, an old man who owns a little bookstore that is a special bookstore. It's this little used bookstore that seems really unassuming, but it turns out that there's a lot more to it. There's a secret society, there's puzzles to solve, and our main character starts working at this 24-hour bookstore as a night clerk, and he just has to unravel the mystery of what's going on with this secret society, what's going on with Mr. Penumbra, and he does it in a way that the secret society did not expect. This is really kind of a book about clashing cultures, clashing technology, where people who used to have to puzzle everything out now can use computers to figure it out, and like those two cultures of the old school way and the new way, how they meet, how they intersect, and how they work or don't work together. That's what this book at least is trying to be about. Don't know if it succeeded. I also don't remember the name of any of the characters except for Mr. Penumbra, so that's a thing. I will say right away, 100% would work for Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. Please, where do I apply? Because it sounds perfect. My second note is that the characters are pretty uninteresting, and I think the fact that I don't remember any of their names kind of shows you that. The book isn't really about the characters, which, as you know, for me can often be a bit of a problem. If this book wasn't so much about books, I would not have probably continued, because the characters are pretty stock, pretty archetypal, and they don't do anything terribly fleshed out or interesting or unexpected, in my opinion. There was a plot point which happens somewhat early on, so I am going to kind of reveal a little bit of some spoilers here. This might be a medium spoilers video. Mr. Penumbra leaves his bookstore without telling anyone, and our main character freaks out, and the other clerk freaks out because, like, where did he go? And they assume he's been kidnapped and something terrible happened to him. But no, he just left. We find out in a little bit that he just left, which is like, well, why wouldn't he tell anyone that he was just leaving and they shouldn't panic? Really, it definitely feels like the author's fingers coming down and reaching in and being like, well, this will be good for the mystery and suspense, so he's just not gonna leave a note. And I don't like it when I can sometimes feel the author cutting a corner like that and making a plot point that doesn't make sense if you think about it, just so that you can get a character from point A to point B. Not that I'm sure I haven't done that as well, I just don't like it when I find it. So the author of this book has the world's biggest hard-on for Google. I don't know if they worked at Google or if they just really, really love Google, but this book is almost entirely a Google advertisement. Work for Google! Google is great! Oh my gosh, computers and business and Google! If you come here completely expecting a book about books, you're going to be disappointed, because over 50% of it is all about computers and how great they are and how wonderful it is to work in the field of technology. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of all of that. We have the techie geek girl trope. Like I said, all of these characters are pretty tropey. The main character is just sort of that sort of doofy but lovable guy character who's kind of a blank and is kind of just there for the reader to put themselves into. And he falls in love with the stereotypical techie girl, and There's also the convenient rich friend, which is a trope that I'm discovering and I'm also already sick of, where the characters just conveniently know someone rich who will get them to the places they need to go or make sure that they can do all the things they need to do for the story with their convenient wealth. Not a fan of this at all. Maybe that's just me. I would like a rich friend. Like in real life, if I could have a rich friend that just wants to help me in my adventures, that would be great, but maybe I'm just salty because I don't have one. The plot of this book is pretty slow and meandering. You think it's gonna be like really intense and code breaking and mystery solving, but in reality it just kind of moseys, talks about Google for a while. It's like the meandering conversation of a guy who worked for Google. And it could have used a lot more sensory details. I found myself really desperate to know how things feel or smell instead of just visual details all the time. So I have written down, this book is basically a fictionalization of the ebook versus old school books debate, and it comes down hard on the side of new tech, which is very true. Even though it's not completely like books are out, get with the times, it does feel like it comes down on the side of ebooks and computers are the future, and those who are still stuck looking at old bookstores and stuff, you might as well get with the times because books are on their way out. I do like one of the themes of this book, possibly the only actual theme of this book, unless you count Google is good and books are old-fashioned. But a theme is books as immortality, writers creating books so that they can live forever through their book, and I think that is something that a lot of us writers feel, at least I feel it, that notion that if you can get something on paper, if you can get something out there that people can enjoy reading, you will kind of live forever. So I related to that theme quite a bit. I do like that this book did value audiobooks as well. It kind of talks about all of the different kinds of books, both regular print copy books, ebooks, and audiobooks, and it doesn't devalue audiobooks because the character could not have solved the mystery if he didn't have all three versions of the book that he's looking at. I fully admit to you that I am growing steadily more and more sick of this notion that those who consume audiobooks are not actually truly consuming them. I think it's harmful to the way that we treat books. Some of us are very, very good at listening to audiobooks. My in-depth book reviews, like the one you're getting today, are from audiobooks. So I'm good at listening critically and getting lots from an audiobook. So I really am sick of the notion that audiobooks just aren't as good as reading it off the page. It's right there with the same notion that reading digitally isn't as good as reading a hard copy. And I refuse to feel ashamed about consuming my books in audio form. But there you go, those were my thoughts on Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. Book lovers, you'll probably like it. Google lovers, you will really like it. But ultimately it felt a little bit flat for me. It was probably kind of a middle-of-the-road book. I probably gave it about 2 or 3 stars. Ultimately the story turned out to be like the mystery was and the conclusion was but I did like some elements of this book and they did keep me at least somewhat engaged. So did any of you read Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore? What did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. Remember everyone that I have a ton of content on this channel, so if you liked what you saw here, you can go and check it all out. Keep yourself busy for hours, listen to it while you wash the dishes, whatever you need to do. And if you want new content, I post new videos Mondays and Fridays, and all the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking. And don't forget, if you want to get special rewards from me, you can support me on Patreon, where all the donations go towards getting me better equipment. Nigel is here, trying to push my camera over. We'll see if that happens. And I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Hey everybody, it is shout out time again. Time to shout out to my patrons, Amanda, Ashley, Celia, Kim, Lisa, Ramona, Sabby Panda, and Sarah. And if you want to be great like these amazing people, then become my patron over on Patreon.